Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been some time since I posted last and I apologize for that, but a lot of things have been going on in my life, and I also kind of was not really sure about the direction I was taking with this channel. I just kept changing my mind on what I wanted to do with it. So hopefully from here forward I'll have a clearer picture about what I want to do. But I'm also thinking about splitting up into 3 different channels, this one being focused on art, and then I want to start a channel that revolves around training science, or just kind of teaching concepts of science. And then the other one is an ASMR channel, and if you're not familiar with ASMR, I encourage you to check it out down in the description. I'll have my first video posted Saturday, December 1st. So I only have one video on there right now, so it's not huge or anything. But yeah, check that out. Today's video, I'm actually going to be making a watercolor paint for you, and I didn't record audio as I was doing it. I was listening to an audiobook and didn't feel like talking, so I'll be doing a voiceover on that. But I've been really getting into making paints lately. I think it's just my formulation science side of me. But anyway, yeah, so a lot of things have been going on. I also switched jobs. I'm still a scientist, but I'm actually teaching science, kind of, sort of. Not teaching in a college, but I'm training others at an industry. So it's a little bit of a different than the research and development that I was doing. So hopefully in my other channel where I'm training, it'll be kind of close to home and make more sense. But anyway, without further ado, please enjoy making of this paint with the voiceover. Alright, so I'm going to be making a black paint from this Black Knight mica powder that I got from one of my soap suppliers. And one of the elements is a brightener, and this is a titanium dioxide for water. It says matte white pigment, but it's titanium dioxide. And I also get that from my soap supplier. This is cornstarch, which is used kind of as a filler. I don't use it all the time. It's just for some stubborn pigments. Glycerin is our plasticizer. And finally, well, not finally, but here's the gum arabic, which is our wetting agent. And I pre-mixed it into some water and some preservative. This is supposed to be kind of the consistency of honey, but mine's a little bit watery, but it's okay. I also use honey for this, which I do show you later, but I use honey as the humectant. And I guess I'm starting with the purple pigment. I showed you the black one first, but this is a purple pigment from the same company that I get like my soap supplies at. It's a very beautiful, kind of cool colored purple. See, I put I didn't really weigh anything or measure anything. It's just kind of, I just kind of plopped it down on this piece of glass that I got out of a frame from Michael's, that I didn't use the glass piece in that frame, so I just had it kind of extra. But you can see I just added a touch of that brightener. It looks like it's more than it actually is, because it's on top there and it's spread out when I plopped it down. But here I kind of put some of my pre-mixed gum arabic solution on there, and just a little bit of glycerin, probably about 4 or 5 drops, and there's that honey. And I've seen people put a lot more than I put in there, but I only put probably like a 1/4 teaspoon in there. And I have my little, I don't have like fancy metal scrapers or spatulas, so I'm using my cheapo plastic ones, but it does the job, so I'm okay with that. And at this point, all I'm doing is just kind of spreading my pigment around, spreading it around with all the ingredients, trying to get it all nice and mixed in. It's a good idea to have 2 spatulas around because as you can see, as I'm stirring this around, it's going to get like stuck to that spatula, and I'm going to use the other one to kind of scrape it off. When they're manufacturing these paints, they use like a kind of a mill. You can buy a glass mill if you want online. They're super hyper expensive. I'd much rather just do it this way. That way I can get like kind of a better feel for the texture. But yeah, so I'm just using my plastic cheap spatula to kind of mix it around. So now this particular spatula has a flat bottom, so it's kind of have like a, I don't want to say a gooseneck, but it's got kind of a bent neck that kind of forces the flat part down. And I'm using that flat part to kind of crush the pigment into the different ingredients so that it could be more of a homogeneous mixture. And as I'm doing that, I'm re-scraping everything back into its pile. But that's the good thing about this glass. So I have a piece of a paper towel underneath it because I tried doing this just like on my countertop, but as you can see, my countertop is kind of dark colored. So it was really hard for me to see whether or not I was actually mixing the pigment in. But with this paper towel, it makes it a lot easier to see my progress. Now in this particular batch, it seems like I was having a hard time getting a good consistency, so I just added a little bit more of that gum arabic water solution. Now when I made that gum arabic water solution, it was basically 1 ounce of gum arabic into like 2 ounces of water. I heated the water up, I put the gum arabic powder in there. What it likes to do is just clump up immediately as soon as it hits that water. But since it's warm water, it'll slowly dissolve and turn into just that liquid there. Now, because I added water to it, it has a higher propensity to encourage mold or bacteria growth. So because I make soap and lotion and stuff like that, I had some extra preservative on hand, and I just put a little bit of my lotion preservative in that solution so that I could prevent any of that growth. The preservative itself, I believe I used Germall Plus, which is actually, I believe it is a paraben based, but you can find others that aren't paraben based if you are against using those sort of things. But it works well for my purposes. But this is a really neat pigment because it's actually a mica. So it's a mica powder. So it's basically pigment mixed with like mica is like a naturally occurring, honestly, I don't really know what exactly mica is, but it's a naturally occurring kind of element, not element on the periodic table, but it's kind of like a stone that gets you know what, I don't want to steer you wrong, but basically it's a natural thing that's really glittery looking, but it's not actual glitter. It's shimmery, let me put it that way. So it's like that iridescence, opalescence kind of look that you see in some things. But this is a really pretty one because it's purple, and because I added that brightener, it's a little bit of a whiter purple. And so for this one, I'm adding just a touch of cornstarch. You don't want to add too much because cornstarch has an interesting characteristic about it when it mixes with water. It kind of has this weird like solid behavior, and then when you manipulate it, it's like liquid, but then I don't know, it's so weird. Cornstarch is a bizarre thing, and I wish I knew more about it to tell you, but yeah, so you don't want to add too much because basically all I wanted to use it for was to give the paint a better consistency, so that you can see as I'm scraping it there, it actually looks more like a paint consistency than the watery kind of goopy consistency that it was. But yeah, I think I'm going to speed this up just a touch, because this goes on for quite some time. You really want to get this mixed in to the ingredients, so that whenever you paint with it, it's like an even spread, and like, you know what I mean. But one of the ingredients, I guess I will mention, one of the ingredients I did not add to this paint is a dispersant, which there are different kinds of dispersants you can use. One of the main ones that people who have painted with watercolor might be familiar with is ox gall. There's some controversy surrounding that. Some people don't like to use it because it is an animal-based product. I personally don't care that much, but I don't actually own any ox gall at home, so I didn't put any dispersant in there, and I didn't really care. But here I am just testing this. I thought I'd speed it up, but I guess I was about done. But here I am testing it on paper, and this doesn't really do it justice, but you can see how well it spreads, or how well it applies to the paper. This particular paper isn't anything special. It's just a multimedia paper, I guess, from Canson. It was a cheap thing I got from Michael's. So I did the dry application and then wet on wet, so you can see it doesn't really disperse like a wet on wet because I don't have that dispersant in there. But it still spreads pretty good, and I was pretty happy with it at this point. So you can also see that I have a couple others that I had made prior. Up in that upper right hand corner there's a pink one and an orange one, and those ones ended up pretty good too, but it was the same type of material. It was like a pink mica and an orange mica. And these little things here, this is a half pan, or is it half pan or quarter pan? I don't know. It's the smallest type of pan you can get, but the brand that I have there, they're called Meeden, Meeden. I got them from Amazon, and I can link it in the description for you. They're pretty cheap. You can get like 50 of them for, $8 or something like that. And I like these because I tend to go through them, thinking about maybe getting like the bigger size pan, because you wouldn't think that what I mixed there would fill so much, but it really does. I'd like to sell these paints. I only made 2 pans of them. I'd like to, I usually like to keep one for myself and then maybe sell whatever I have left over, so it's not just sitting around. But that'll probably come later when I'm a little bit more seasoned at doing this. For now, I'm just kind of enjoying what I made here, and I did make the black, just not in this video. I hope you enjoyed the making of this watercolor paint. If you'd like a more detailed video, just let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in subscribing to my channel, just click on my portrait, or there's another button there at the bottom right under the video. And I will see you next time for some other kind of artness. Bye!